feel true FOMO for and like avoid the like possible disappointment later on. I just, no. People who love this series say it's badly written. There's so many other books that I'd rather read before this. I feel like I might need to like bite my tongue on some of these because I'm never gonna pick these up. Hello, my name is Emily. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy you're here. Now, I typically am a pretty positive person. I try to keep my channel more on the positive side and focus on the positives. Obviously there's negatives here and there, but I do try and focus mainly on the positives. Now, I've been in a little bit of a zero fucks attitude lately, so I figured we'd kind of channel that and go into 10 books that I personally think that I will never read. Now, never say never. I could change my mind down the road and take back everything I say in this video. I could be convinced otherwise to pick them up. So never say never, but these are 10 books / series that I think I will probably never get to. A little disclaimer, if you love these books, if some of these books are your all-time favorite, that is great. I am happy for you. Me saying that I am never picking these up, again, I'm not hating on them because I haven't read them. It's just something that I'm just not picking up. And I'll get into more specifics as we go through each book. But it is not in any way a personal dig at you. Again, it's like that with everything. Like if I dislike a book, if I rated it 1 star and you rated it 5 stars, it is not a personal dig at you. So just keep that in mind. This is all for fun and games. If you think that I might end up enjoying any of these books and you kind of want to convince me otherwise in the comments, feel free to do so. But again, keep it respectful. Also, as a preface, these are all like romantasy or fantasy. That is like my main genre. So like it obviously wouldn't be fair if I like pulled like random romance book and I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna read this romance book. Like, yeah, it's not really like your typical genre. So it's like more likely. These are all books that are like within my preferred genre. So I say we just get into the 10 books that I think I will never read. All right, I have my list on my computer here. I think the first book we're going to talk about, and the first book that I think I will probably never read, is Lightlark. Now, I have like a couple reasons behind this book. I actually owned this book at one point and I ended up unhauling it because I was like, I'm probably never going to get to this. Now, this book obviously blew up. It's Lightlark by Alex Astor. This book blew up and the series blew up. There's elements of trials, there's like enemies to lovers, it's romantasy, really fun magic system from what I've heard. Sounds right up my alley. And I think when it first kind of was blowing up, at first I was like, it was blowing up so much that it kind of like the hype scared me, and so I was like, ooh, no, I don't think I'm gonna pick it up. And then the hype started to like die down just a tiny bit, and I was like, you know what, maybe I'm gonna pick it up. So I ended up buying the book. Then I heard through the grapevine more and more about Lightlark and like the series in itself, that like I think it was originally set to just be a trilogy, and obviously because of the hype it got extended to like a 5-book series. And then now I've heard talks, this might be totally wrong, but I've heard talks of it being a 7-book series, and I'm like, it just is getting dragged out, obviously because it got popularity. Like I can't fault the author for like extending it because it's gained a lot of popularity. I just really don't like when authors specifically do that. And I know it's not just like to the author. I know it's a lot has to do with the publishing industry and the publishing houses, that they push and push to like make the series longer if it's doing well. I think a similar thing happened with Fourth Wing as well, if I'm not mistaken, where it was gonna be like 5 books or like even 3 books, and then it's like 5 or 7 books again, which like that I'm like, I don't know, that I'm like less like mad about and more like okay with. But Lightlark, it has just felt like too dragged out, and that's what I've heard. And like I am not the biggest fan of love triangles. I don't hate them, but I'm really not the biggest fan of them, especially from what I've heard. There's like a clear winner of the love triangle, and that love triangle has been dragged out and dragged out and dragged out. I also just like, I read the first couple of chapters when I owned the book, and I just like the writing style like just wasn't anything to write home about. And I just like, I don't know, never say never, but I just really truly don't think I care anymore, and like I really don't care enough to read that many books in the series. And like it honestly makes me mad to hear like how drawn out it's been, and like hearing people that like love the series saying like they're annoyed with how it's been dragged out. So that's the first book that like or in the series that I just like probably am never gonna get to. And I don't necessarily know if I'm missing much, but I have heard great things. Again, like I know a ton of people love this series, but I don't think I care enough to. I know already who she's gonna end up with, and like I've never even read the book. So the second book, this is a doozy. I feel like this is going to ruffle some feathers. This next one, I can say that I have given a fair chance. I have actually tried to read this book like 4 or 5 times, and I get like a little bit farther each time, but I cannot make it past the 80-page mark, and I just like am not interested. So this is like one that I'm like, I need to stop and trying. And that is The Cruel Prince. I know, you can boo me. I am not the happiest about this one, to be honest. Like, I truly do get a little bit of FOMO with this one. Like, other ones I'm like, I don't care to. This one I feel true FOMO for, because so many people love it, and I love the fan art of this series, and like I love how much other people love this series. I cannot get into it. Again, I've tried to read this book like 4 or 5 times, and I just cannot get it. I cannot get behind. I don't think bully romance is for me. I'm gonna put that out there. I just do not think that bully romances are for me, and I just don't think that that series and The Cruel Prince is for me. And I don't know if I should just leave it as that. Like, I really do wish I liked this book. I wish I could have gone into this book. I think I missed the mark. I think if I would have read it like 4 years ago, maybe, like I would have liked it more. I don't know. I think it's just, I obviously love fantasy. I don't think I'm the biggest fan of like fairies and fae when they're more like the trickster fairies. And it's more like kind of, I don't want to say silly goofy, but that's kind of what I mean. I don't know a better way of explaining it. But it's like more those like folk tale, and like they're tricksters, and they're always playing pranks and like trying to trick humans and mortals and stuff. I just don't think that that's like my favorite type of fae and fairies. That's a beloved series, so you know. And again, I haven't read it, but I have tried. So that's one where I can like confidently say like I just don't think it's for me. I think I've missed the mark, and I don't think future Emily will probably like that book. Again, I don't want to read a book and then end up just to read it, and then I end up like not liking it, and then I rate it a low score. So I'd rather just like never pick it up than like pick it up and hate it. Third book, this I don't know where to start with this one. This is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Do I still have this book? I know I had it at one point, and I was just like keeping it just because it's pretty. I think I've finally gotten rid of it. From Blood and Ash, I've actually owned this book for like 4 years at this point, until now. I think I sold it actually, if I'm not mistaken. I wanted to pick up this book for a very, very long time, and I kept just not picking it up because I heard so much about it. People were like, oh, if you love ACOTAR, then you'll like this book. It was one of the first books that I bought after finishing the ACOTAR series, because people were like, if you liked ACOTAR, you would like this. And I just like, I bought it, and then I just like never felt the urge to pick it up. And then I think I got more into BookTok or Bookstagram and BookTube, and I heard more and more people saying how stinking long this series is. And don't get me wrong, I love a long series. I don't think that I care enough to get myself into that long of a series where it also intertwines with another series. And I've tried like Jennifer L. Armentrout's like writing multiple times, and for some reason it just like doesn't click with me. But going back to like just From Blood and Ash, like that whole series and world, it like sounds intriguing at first, but I've heard that the first book is the best book. Now, I'm sure that there's plenty of people that would disagree and would redact that statement, but I've heard that the first book is the best one. And then I've also heard that there's like a cheating trope later in the series after the like characters have, I might be wrong again, after the characters have been together for a long time. And I'm like, I don't want that. I don't know. I just, no. So I just don't think I want to even get into a series that I have a feeling I'm going to end up being disappointed on the later books. So I'm like, why not just like avoid it altogether and like avoid the like possible disappointment later on. I just think that that's better for me. I honestly don't even know if I'm ever going to read a Jennifer L. Armentrout book. I don't know. None of her books have like ever like pulled my attention in. Like none of them have, I've been like, oh, I want to read that. Like just kind of been like, oh yeah, this sounds good. I know that people love her. And then I don't know. All right, the fourth book that I will probably never get to / series is Gild. I have heard not too much about this series, but I've heard a select few creators talk about it. However, even before I heard creators talk about Gild, I already think I like decided in my head that I don't want to read this book, and it's for kind of a stupid reason. But I remember reading the back, and for some reason, I get really put off that she's gold. I don't know why, I just like get really put off that she's gold. Like I think it would be really hard for me to like picture that in my head, and like really I think it would be hard for me to like kind of get into it. Similar with like a Cruel Prince, where I'm like, I don't know if I can get behind that he has a tail like Slay, but like I don't know if I can do it. And I just like, there's something about Gild that I like almost get the ick when I've read the back multiple times when she's gold. And then two, I just like feel like the romance and like the setup for the books like just like kind of puts me off of it. Like I don't know much about this book, but I just feel like every time I've read the backs I just get put off of it, you know. But I've heard people love it, except for recently I've started to hear more and more people say that the like last two books are not good. And I've heard that multiple times, and I'm like, I don't always listen to reviews. Like I don't blindly listen to reviews. Normally like I'm like, okay, this person didn't like it, but I might like it. But if I like am already kind of wary about a book, like not sure if I'm gonna like it or not, and then I'm hearing people say like they either didn't like it or like in this situation they didn't like the like most recent 2 or 3 books, then I'm like, okay, well, like, see, I don't want to like get into the first book and then hope the rest of them are better when like I'm not really like fully intrigued to begin with. That's kind of how this one is like I just don't, it never sounded super interesting to me, and then I've just heard like people get disappointed the later on in the series. Ooh, number 5 might ruffle some feathers. Number 5, we have the Zodiac Academy, and this is like, I'm gonna just go out on a whim and say most of the Twisted Sisters series minus Hollow. Okay, I think I'm just gonna just maybe say like the Zodiac universe, like the Ruthless Boys, and then like the Never Keep series, like because I know that that's intertwined, and now you need to read that series, now you need to read the rest of the Zodiac, all those books. I'm just gonna say Zodiac Academy and like most of the Twisted Sister books. I'm gonna just say no. Now, I have actually tried to read the first book in the Zodiac Academy, whatever it's fucking called. Not for very long, but like the writing style immediately annoyed me. And I've heard that the writing is not great and it's like pretty juvenile. But like to push past that, and just like to that like the story itself is good, and I will not negate from that. I am sure that like I would love a lot of the characters, but again, I think it's a bully romance, and I think that would piss me off. But I'm sure that there would be plenty of characters that I would love. But unfortunately, if the writing is not great. It's really hard for me to look past and get connected to characters. And also, I just like don't think I'm willing to commit to that big of a world. Now, again, I love long series. I'm like in the middle of the Shadowhunters world. That's a long list of books to read, but they're like well written. And I'm just not, I've tried the Zodiac Academy and I've just heard that it's not well written. People who love this series say it's badly written. So it's like, I'm not just like being a hater. Like I've heard that people like who this is their god tier series say the writing's not great, but it's great. I just don't think I'm willing to do that for that many books. The world is so big now that I'm like, I'm too late. It's like me never watching any of the Game of Thrones. I'm like, is it even worth it? Like, am I too behind on the bandwagon? You know, like I love jumping on a bandwagon, but I think I missed, it went past my stop, or I just didn't get on time. I think it's a little too late for me on this series. And like, actually like the Neverkeep series like did intrigue me, but then I found out that the most recent book, you have to then, it's recommended that you have to go back and read the rest of the Zodiac Academy books. And I'm like, no, I just don't. I don't think I can put up with bad writing for that many books. Number 6, this one I like popped into my brain and I was like, yeah, the 6th book is Trial of the Sun Queen. Now, I feel like I feel like this book comes in waves with how much I hear about it, and I only hear about the first one. And a lot of people talk about the first line, and it's like, that bitch took my soap, which is funny. I don't like that type of writing, and I don't know how to explain it, where it's almost like it feels almost like too quirky and like too, like trying too hard to be like the typical romantasy where it's like, I'm the smallest girl in my town, but I also have like huge tits, and like I could kill a man with one finger. Like that's just how like that the start of that book kind of felt. And like, again, I love romantasy. Okay, I like eat up romantasy and fantasy and like classic cheesy romantasy tropes. But something about like that writing and that first line, I was like, I don't think I can read this. Which sounds so bad, but I just don't think I can. And I also don't think I'm down for like a bachelorette, like a fantasy bachelorette. Like I already don't love a love triangle. I'm not really gonna, I know that's not a love triangle, but I'm not really gonna like a whole bachelorette situation. I just don't think I'm gonna like that. I feel like, I don't know, it just didn't interest me. And I owned this book for so long, and I just was like, I just don't know if I'm gonna read it. And then I just like never heard anything else about the rest of the series. Like nothing. It like died, like phone went dead with the rest of the series. And so I was like, okay, like is the rest of the series good? Does it get better? Like I just don't hear enough. Like it'll be like a spike of hype for this book, and then it dies off so quickly. So I'm like, I just don't think I care enough already with the premise. And then I also haven't really heard much about it besides like the first line is good. So I'm like, I just don't know. I don't think so. I just don't think I care enough. Sorry. 7. I feel like this is another controversial one. The Bridge Kingdom. I can confidently say that I tried with this book. I think I got over 100 pages into The Bridge Kingdom, and I DNF'd it because I didn't care. I did not care at all. I don't really remember like why I DNF'd it, besides just like it just wasn't keeping my attention. And I know that people love that series. Again with it, I'm like, I know that they're all in like duets, like every couple gets like 2 books. And I think there's like 6 books out, and there's like gonna be another couple soon after. And I'm like, I just don't think I care about this world, and I haven't heard the best things about the second duet. So again, with like a lot of these have this similar theme of like, I heard okay or like great things about the first book, and then like just that it's gotten like dragged out. And I don't know. I don't think I have the time or the patience for that, especially if the plot doesn't sound interesting to me. But I did start The Bridge Kingdom, and I just like could not get into it, and I ended up donating that book And again, I just like, the beginning was already not keeping my attention. And so like, I don't think that the rest of the series, like, I just don't think it's for me. I think, I don't know. I know plenty of people that love that book and that series. I just don't think it's for me. And I think that's fine. But I can't say I didn't try on that one. That one's kind of different. I got pretty far with that book before I called it quits. And I don't DNF often. So when I do DNF, it's like, ugh. Number 8. This is one of the only ones that I'm like, maybe this could come off this list. We have Priory of the Orange Tree. I don't have a good, solid argument for why I'll never read this, besides that it is so big. And that should not be a valid argument, because some of my favorite books have even more pages than that. But I actually, again, owned this book. I don't know, at the time I just was like, did I just grab this because it has a pretty cover, it's big, and like people were saying that it's like really good? Like, the premise I just don't think sounded that interesting to me from what I can remember. Like, I don't fully remember why. And then I picked it up and I just don't think the writing style was clicking with me. But like, I did put it on this list because I just feel like I don't know what that noise was. I put it on this list because I just truly don't think I'll ever get to it. And I don't think the FOMO will ever get me enough that I feel like I need to pick this book up. Like, I heard really good things about it. And then like the like prequel kind of book, I heard good things about, but the hype fell off pretty quick. And like, I feel like this makes it sound like I only read hyped up books. That is definitely not true. But like, I think, like I've mentioned multiple times, if a book already, the premise doesn't fully interest me, and then people aren't really loving it and there's not a lot of hype to it, then like, it's just not gonna happen. I know that Ellen Catherine read this, and she enjoyed it, but she's like never continued on to like the other books in the series. And I just like, something about it just like is not dragging my attention in. Like, I wonder if I go look up the summary right now, like what would I think? See, but it does have dragons, so that's why I'm like, no, maybe. I just think, well, now I don't know. I just think the POVs weren't the most interesting to me from what I can remember. Again, I own this and then I donated it. You know, maybe, you know, I did say never say never. I don't know. Now the plot sounds more interesting to me than it did previously. It's View of Dragons. Well, fuck. I don't know. I just, also, there's so many other books that I'd rather read before this. So this might be a never say never situation, but I have no clue when I would ever get to it. And like I just said, like, there's so many books that I would rather read than that one that I'm like, this would probably get pushed so far back in the list. But now that I'm reading the summary, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Maybe if you've read this and you like, it is your God tier, convince me down below. But I think I'm gonna keep it on this list for now. For now. This is the only one on here that I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna stay on this list. So if I pop up in like 6 months time reading Priory of the Orange Tree, you shut your fucking mouth. 9, Belladonna. Again, if I read this in like 2023, I think this would be a very different story and this would definitely not be on this list. Because 2023 was like really when I really started to get into like books and like a lot of Bookstagram and BookTube, because I read like Divine Rivals, Once Upon a Broken Heart, Powerless, which we won't talk about that series, Serpent and Dove. Like, I feel like I read the typical like Six of Crows. Those were when I was like reading the typical like YA romantasy fantasy books. Like those were the books that I was reading in 2023. And I think if I read Belladonna then, I would have really liked it. But I just don't think that it's my cup of tea now. 2 years ago, Emily, or 3, damn, 3 years ago, Emily, I think would have ate it up, because she was reading those typical YA fantasies. Me now, I just don't think it would be my cup of tea. And again, with like, I think I would rather pick up a lot of other books before this one. Like if I read Once Upon a Broken Heart now, I don't think I would enjoy it as much as I did back then. Especially because I read Caraval at the end of last year and hated it. Like hated it. But I just don't think I would like Belladonna now. And even back then, the summary did not sound the most interesting to me. And it definitely doesn't now. All right, number 10. This book, I feel like, is not as popular as the rest of the books in this series, in this like list. But we have How Does It Feel? This book blew up based on like a girl's reaction to it. And I have not heard much about this book since then, and that was like years ago, like 2022 or 2023, maybe even longer. But I've not heard much about this, but I keep seeing more books in this series pop up in Barnes and Noble. And that's another situation where I'm like, I feel like that series is just continually getting dragged out. And not only that, but the premise never really sounded that interesting to me. I feel like I might need to like bite my tongue on some of these, because I'm like, the premise didn't sound interesting, but then like, you know, I might look and be like, well, this book that I loved had the same premise. But it's just, I don't know. I like romantasy. I'm not the biggest fan of spice. I don't mind it, but it has to be artfully done. And I don't like when it has to be important for the plot, and I don't like when it's like half the book. And like, I have a feeling that that's how Does It Feel is. And that's, from what I've heard, it's like extremely, extremely spicy. Whereas like, I'm like a 1 to 2 scene type of girl. I just think How Does It Feel has never felt like a book, has never felt like a book that I would enjoy. And like, I kind of got almost put off of it right from the beginning. Again, I like spice. I just don't see that book being for me. Truly. That one I feel like I have the least amount of explanation for. But I think I also owned this book for a little bit, and then I just never ever picked it up. Like, I think I've actually owned every single one of these books except for Guild and the Zodiac Academy. I have owned at some point all of these other books, and I think a lot of these also, like, they were sitting on my physical TBR for so long, and I continually would pick them up, like, look at the back and be like, yeah, I don't want to read that. And that gets to the point where it's like, okay, you're never going to read it. Like, you just bought this book and you still don't want to read it now. Like, you know, I hope I like eloquently explained myself. Probably not. For all of these, again, a reminder, if you love any of these books and they're like your favorite books, or you just like think that I should give them a shot and you're mad that I am not, it's not a personal attack. This is not me telling you like you should never read these books, or like these books are bad. I didn't read them. I don't want to read them. That's a personal thing. It has nothing to do with you. Again, if you feel like I would end up enjoying some of these books and you would like to convince me to remove them from this list, feel free to kindly do so in the comments. Let me know what books that you have on your list that like you're like, I'm never gonna pick these up. These are just some of mine. I'm sure I have a plenty more. If you liked this video, or if you've liked any of my other videos, please consider liking and subscribing. It would mean the absolute world to me. If you are still here, comment your zodiac sign for like Zodiac Academy. Comment your zodiac sign. Mine's a Gemini. Again, I love you so much for being here. It means the absolute world to me. I will love you and leave you